Hello, folks, and welcome back to Bioshock 2 Remastered. It does kind of throw me that that's not actually in the title of this or the previous one. It does kind of throw me. Also, the difference in the UI is also throwing me. Like, there's something just about interacting with the game is a bit different to the other one, and it's really throwing me. Because didn't they both come out at the same time by the same team? You'd think the remaster would have been more similar. But anyway. Okay, you can hear me. You would hear the game if there's on. You can see the game, and I'm indeed recording. You know, I actually didn't check the footage to make sure you could actually. This game was actually even moving. That is actually a concern, now that I remember. I remember recording a bit of Grim Dawn before, and you were just stuck on the options menu for the hour I recorded. No, it's all fine. I just had a quick look at the session. There is movement. There we go. Just trying to gently move the keyboard cable. Since I curled it, it's after damaging. Sometimes it has to be in the right position to work. Sometimes I can pinch a bit of the cable and it more cooperates. But then if it moves, it stops. And also the ink spots would still be in copyright apparently. So I might get in trouble for Bioshock 1. Yeah, as long as it's only a claim, I suppose I can live with that. Okay. Just need to get used to controls again. It's the right hand is the left mouse button, right mouse button is left hand.
I just tell her, baby, I want a child, end of discussion. Just like that.
Might just thinking about it, they might hide stuff behind breakables now that there's a more active breakable system in the game. Not a fan of that. Means I have to be even more paranoid about stuff. I swear he moves faster now that I'm aiming down sights. More fluidly.
Go ahead, ruin it. Hey, you cut it out already. Stupid machine.
Damn it.
Whoa.
Oh, he's not getting back up. Wait, I already went through here? Oh yeah, I have to double back. Did I forget to play anything?
a paradise of the ego, Eleanor. Under Ryan, the voices of an entire city sing the virtues of greed and pride. But truth, rather, is in the body. Already they grow weary of struggle.
I love
Okay, yeah.
Miss
I
English third
think I
grade
did.
class, but boy, I had no idea what I was getting into. Volunteering to chaperone this New Year's sleepover party at Ryan Amusements. Donnie, get down off that exhibit, and I told you, spit out that gum! You'll choke! The kids' parents deserve a
I
day
could
off to
never
enjoy
work with
New Year's.
kids.
I'm at my wit's end. Donnie,
I don't think
told
that I
you.
could be allowed to suplex all of them, you know? Plus, I've already hurt my back. I'd probably just be stuck in that position. My back's actually rather tender since I tried to lift those 3 dog crates. I know it's been a while on Yi, but it's been like 2 weeks maybe since I've tried to, you know, break myself. Rapture failed, we will not. Rejected tyranny of the self. Lamb will lead the way, the end of Ryan is the end of the self. Again, part of me feels that she doesn't really fully, listen, or like obey her philosophy. You know, she's against, the self and all this, but was perfectly happy with, bowing out of any as much in participation in her daughter's birth as possible. I know it just feels hypocritical, you know. Self-preservation, wanting to avoid pain for herself, self. Maybe I'm just being a gobshite and nitpicking on her there, but it just feels like she's happily inflicts pain and suffering, kidnaps children and warps them, but her having to go through childbirth and the pains of that. Oh no, that's far too much to ask. Actually, no, that's a fantastic thing to pull her on. She's kidnapping little girls and turning them into the little sisters, warping their minds. You know, she's torturing people, wrecking their minds and bodies, but childbirth is too much for her to go through herself. She's a true believer when it comes to other people, but when it comes to herself, she's as much an individualist as Ryan. Much like Ryan, she's also a hypocrite. Ryan broke from his philosophy to deal with Fontaine, and that didn't work. But anyway. So much cum.
Unable to provide for itself,
Ooh.
the need of the parasite grows until war is made to justify it. Your parents brought you to Rapture, where you need never fear the parasites again. So you see, there is no place for you on the surface. But you may bring the world to you. If you know someone who belongs in Rapture, write a letter to the Ryan Industries mailroom. And you never know. The next new face might be familiar.
Though to be fair, if they were born and raised here, they probably wouldn't know anyone on the surface to invite. That is creepy. Ooh, money. It's just like a disembodied head. It's more than a little creepy. Also, I wasn't kidding when I was saying I was tearing up at the ending of the first game. Well, there was the little jank with I was saying with the story with the little sisters having to become a big daddy. I know, like I'm a softie at heart, so it's just the little sisters coming to your aid there, and your character getting a family, and just just the love there, Oh, that it played me like a fucking fiddle.
I know this facility is vital for the preservation of secrecy and Rapture. But seeing myself transformed into that lurching wax spoke to a young man exiting the park after the grand opening, asking him what, if anything, he had learned here. He said his chores didn't seem so bad anymore, as long as Mother wouldn't send him to the surface.
Well, it certainly builds a dislike for the surface for people. And he's not completely wrong about it. Plenty of young guys were sent off to die in someone else's war, in someone else's conflict. Guys younger than myself. I'm 24 at the time recording, 25 by the time you get to see this. And plenty of guys younger than me were sent off to die in someone else's war. Guys, like during World War II on the Allies side, there was boys younger than 18 go out fighting and dying in it. On the Nazi side, when Berlin was being invaded, 12-year-olds were sent out to defend it. In the war itself, like when the Allies were invading islands that the Japanese had taken over, they had to kill young boys, children, so they wouldn't inform like their countrymen on the troop movements. Apparently, I remember just a horrible history had a little quiz with that very scenario, and the only right answer would be to put a bullet in the kid's head. If you didn't, you'd have been executed as a betrayer on the spot, and then the kid would have been killed anyway. So, and Ryan isn't completely wrong on that. Another guy was executed during World War II for the British for deserting. In reality, the trench he was in was being flanked by an enemy division, and he realized he couldn't take the entire group on by himself. Maybe it wasn't a division, maybe it was a small squad, but an enemy group was attacking, and he was this lone man. And he wasn't Doom Guy or Subject Delta here. He was a single guy. He blocked the trench with his gun and ran for support. He was executed for that. So, Ryan isn't wrong. To give one other example before I go, was it Boko Haram? There's some nutjob terrorist group somewhere in that region. They, the Bring Back Our Girl campaign. They've also kidnapped tons of boys and mutilated ones that they didn't take. There's been very little of a push to save them. But the ones that are still alive, the boys that were kidnapped. The girls, yes, there was a massive push. The boys, no. No one really seemed to give two fucks about them. I only found out about them because someone was talking about it and saying how no one gave a damn about it. I heard the outcry about the girls, but nothing else. Which is honestly depressing. Life is a life. It doesn't matter what their organs are, what they are. A life is a life. But apparently not the other people. Michelle Obama and the like all got really hyped up about the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Apparently not so much on the boys. They didn't seem to give two fucks there from the way I heard. People tend to see men as disposable, so. But yeah, ultimately Andrew Ryan isn't wrong. That's the thing with him. What he says, he isn't completely wrong on what he says. He's not completely right either, but he's not completely wrong. The Lamb, I think in general, is more wrong than she's right, but she does have points. Saying that, reality, talking about it being group consensus, isn't completely right, but it isn't completely wrong either. Due to individuals' biases and complexes, someone thinking one ethnic group is inferior to another might be thinking they're Napoleon. The group can work to try and see through that bias and flaw, but it's more for discovering the truth. But when the group decides to start arbitrating the truth, dictating it, deciding A is not A, and not discovering that, the group stops discovering that A is indeed A, and B is indeed B, and starts deciding that A is B and B is A, then the group becomes substantially less useful, and it's not an impediment. There isn't one over here, is there? Like an audio log? Been trying to be thorough, more so than the first game. But anyway. Yeah, ultimately I feel Ryan is more right than the lamb. I was just hesitating in case audio starts playing. I feel he was more right than lamb because, you know, the group dictates the truth. You know, and what Ryan isn't that. Well, she is right about personal biases possibly getting in the way of finding it. It becomes the group will decide what the truth is, rather than discovering it. So, which is wrong in its own way. It covers the truth. While at least Ryan's way is just, you know, somewhat fucking themselves over. You know, if you get me. Terrorist thing?
Tear this place down!
Good night to
great.
you.
Fire!
I'm off.
Yeah,
My outrage. My heirlooms. Leave them at least.
I didn't think there's a way up here. Oh, this is actually right where you come in. I know, I feel basically Ryan's thing is... Oh, nice, I wasn't sure if it would be able to right itself. Less disastrous than hers. I feel hers would fuck more things up. Because it's demanding the collective adhere to this one truth, while at least Ryan's more individualistic thing, allowing... Sure, some people have fucked up perception, but, you know, not all of them end up holding it. So, hopefully that makes sense. The one issue I would have with this was there's no setup for Lam in the first game. As far as I know, there's no pictures, no nothing, no reference to her, even though she was apparently rising the people against Ryan somewhat effectively. Obviously, she was created just for this game, but there was no connection, no nothing.
Mean. You're mean, Roger. It was probably your clumsy, fat hands that loused it up.
Typical broad. Stay away from things you don't know nothing about.
Impertinent. Beggar.
Whoa!
Shan't save the likes of you. Donnie.
Don't remember what I was saying, but yeah. Where was I? I remember I was saying that at least Ryan's more an individualistic thing, therefore allowing some people to be wrong, but maybe others will figure it out and go from there, while she demands them all to hold to a singular truth, and anyone who doesn't is a heretic, and to cast them out. Though Ryan does demand certain one adherence to, you know, Rapture's philosophy. So, I suppose he is, you know, but I feel that's a little different.
So, you would drain the people of their life's blood. Rapture is a body, Delta. I am the voice, and Big Sister is the hand. When Rapture speaks of you, it says only this. Sleep now. Your day is done.
And yet... Well, we're hearing some dissenting opinions, aren't we? Oh yeah, I was saying that I didn't like there was no setup for Lam. Like, there's no pictures, no nothing of her in the first game. She was just created, you know, wholly for this game, which is fine. That's fine. It does not quite groove. Like I personally feel like, you know, there should have been some nod to her if she, like, you know, she was on that poster in the spa places, the brightest minds of Rapture, but there's absolutely no reference to her elsewhere. And she was part of Ryan's cohort. It's not even like she was a Fontaine mook. Also, it does seem like Fontaine did murder the other chick, because she wandered in on him doing his Fontaine voice. So, when he was pretending to be Atlas. So, yeah. Do I have only one left? Seems so. Did another one get stuck in the door? Yeah, there's no setup for her, even though she was this, you know, hotshot. Feels a little disappointing. I'll probably replay Bioshock Infinite after this. Probably. It's been quite a long time since I played it. I'm not sure if I gave you, I'm not sure if that recording's still up. I recorded on the Mac, and that would have had the inferior audio. Actually, I think I did leave a few. Sup? Shock, shock. In what country is there a place for people like me? And again, he does have a point. The bottom, like, at the bottom of the sea, just to set up a place like Rapture, you need an incredibly isolated place that people wouldn't be able to find. At the bottom of the sea, on the dark side of the moon, all valid places. Keeping it hidden is the only way to keep it safe. Charred for some reason. Presumably someone walked around with a flamer. The sisters will just come to the chamber. That's handy.
We lost another of the Alpha Series protectors today in testing. Somewhere outside the city limits, he simply vanished. For these men, Rapture has no walls. We must find a method of conditioning them against abandonment of the Little Sisters. Something physical, possibly even lethal. The lab aides are starting to call them Big Daddies. Perhaps there's some genius to that. Bonded pairs, connected by a love that kills.
And clearly this guy is that kind of thing going on. I wonder how many levels there are to this, because on the train map there's only 4. Just brings you up to Fontaine, the Fontaine HQ. Health and happiness through genetics. I saw eugenics. I was like what? Incinerate. Set objects on fire, ages 12 and up. Objects and creatures on fire.